Hey guys, Victoria here, and welcome to the Geeky Sandbox. So today we're going to be recapping episode 3 of Ironheart titled We in Danger Girl. So they are living it up. Parker and crew and Riri, everybody's just enjoying the money they're getting. Everyone's talking about the plans of what they're going to do with their money and things like that. And Riri says, and I quote, "I'll be happy to not be doing this shady shit anymore." And she gets a couple of side eyes from a couple of people in the room because they don't look at what they're doing as shady. They look at it as a necessary evil, as I mentioned. While they're talking about Parker and everything, Clown, who, like I said in the last episode, she doesn't really care what people think. She is kind of a free spirit. She goes and she takes Parker's hood and she comes downstairs with it on. Everybody's freaking out. I'm freaking out. And she actually puts it on. And then she says that it starts to feel warm and it's weird. And she's trying to figure out how it works. So Riri gets up there, and I can't believe she's doing this in front of everybody. They start like kind of hatching plans of like, oh, maybe I could analyze it and we can figure out how it works. And then Parker's cousin attacks Riri, and it's in front of everybody. It's very aggressive. And the only reason it gets shut down, because Riri didn't back down, the only reason it gets shut down is because Parker comes out and he's like, "You made your point, like stop. We're supposed to be celebrating." Later, Riri and Parker do have a conversation where she's talking about her plans of departing and like moving on. And she even kind of asks them, like, "Do you plan to do anything else with this? Like, how does your hood work?" Like, she's just at this point asking questions and having discussions with him directly, which is very bold. And he says that it's magic. I don't think it's that she doesn't believe in magic. I think she doesn't believe that Parker understands how the hood works. He does go on to explain, like, "I don't know what it does. I just know that it works." And there's this dilemma of what Riri's doing. She's like, "I'm not a criminal." But Parker challenges her on this. "You're just like everybody else in this room right now. Like, you're doing this for financial gain." And she's like, "But I'm trying to do something great." And then he directly asks her, like, "Well, what are you going to do with the suit?" And she doesn't really have an answer. And so I think that kind of sums up a lot of what we've been seeing in the last couple of episodes. She knows she wants to be better, but she doesn't even know what to do with that once she gets there. So with her money, she does decide to get Xavier some new headphones. And of course, understandably, he's like, "You were just dumpster diving the other day. How did you come across this money? Like, are you in trouble? You know, you can talk to me. What's going on?" And I think she kind of considers it for like a very split second, but then she just shifts the conversations. "You don't want the headphones, I can take them back." But he talks about his attachment to the headphones. They're worn, but they used to belong to Natalie. And they kind of have a nice, sweet moment of just, you know, how is he even able to put on the headphones without crying or without like thinking about Natalie? And at this point, he does not know about Natalie. He says he misses her and all this stuff. Riri still has not revealed to him that she has an AI that was Natalie. So while all of this is happening, Joe just shows up to Riri's house. Her mom is rightfully uncomfortable and suspicious, but they kind of play it off as a work venture that they're supposed to be talking about. She created a monster, as she says later, because he's so inspired, and it has nothing to do with what she has going on, but he's inspired. He has these new ideas and he wants to start inventing, and he wants to bounce ideas off of her and have her come over to his shop and help. He's being firm and he is standing on business, which on his way out he thanks her for. Natalie is kind of feeling a little neglected, and she's like, "I just want to spend some time with you. I want to hang out." Riri thinks it's a little weird, but she does give into it, and Natalie plans everything. They go sit outside and have a picnic, and then the last stop is Gary's workshop. Before Riri can even get inside, she has a really bad panic attack. And it's just like a jarring experience. We see exactly what happened for sure to Gary and Natalie. There was a drive-by shooting, and Gary warned Riri to get down, but Gary and Natalie weren't so lucky. She goes home and the police is there. And she starts freaking out because she finds out that Stewart is dead. Somebody killed Rampage, which really sucked. I thought he was going to stick around a little bit more. I really want to see Eric Andre show up in something else. They're there because she made that very silly mistake and called him from her own personal device. So that was a whole thing. So they're just trying to reach out to the last known contact who called Stewart. Riri's spiraling at this point, and she's like, "Okay, I feel like Parker is trying to kill me," because they had the conversation earlier about her trying to leave. She doesn't trust his cousin. She doesn't trust the hood. Like, she's like, "I don't understand why they would do this, but I need to get out." And so she starts hatching a plan to steal the hood with Natalie. And she's like, "I want to steal a piece of it, or I want to steal some of it, something, so I can try to find a weakness in case I need it. I need to take them out before they take me out," which, as we know, is always very dangerous thinking. Parker is losing himself because he's trying to prep for their next heist, and he wants to go in with little to no information because this is a personal vendetta, this person that they've chosen as their next target. You can just see those cracks just kind of getting bigger. So at Joe's place, Riri helps him with his personal project, and another reason she goes there is because they know in order for Riri to be able to get a piece of the hood, she needs to have like something where she can be in there undetected and also cut a piece off of the hood without setting off any alarms in the place they're going to heist. Because Natalie and her have vetted the whole heist location, etc., and they know that any sort of metal or foreign objects can be detected. This is kind of like her, hey, I'm helping you, Joe, but I'm gonna ask you for something kind of moment. And another reason she goes, he explains to her why he has all these reservations about the suit. And he reveals who his father is, Obadiah Stane. She finds this out by accidentally stumbling upon Obadiah's ashes, and we'll talk more a little bit about that later in the video. But it's just crazy because he knows the truth about what really happened to Obadiah. Riri didn't. So it's kind of crazy as an audience member having this information and then seeing people in the universe like, oh yeah, being reminded they don't know exactly how he died. Riri then finds out that Joe's real name is Zeke, or Ezekiel Stane. He was saying like, hopefully you can understand, that's why I can't just give you stuff to help you with this like suit. I'm trying to do everything to not be like my dad. And I like that they have this moment because then Riri lets her guard down. She says that quote that Gary says, the best way to understand a thing is to take it apart and put it back together. Then you can see what it's really made of. And I really like that. I like that Joe challenges Riri to do that with herself as well. And we also learned that Gary was a huge fan of Tony Stark, and that's why the whole iron suit became a thing. So Riri admits that it was more of a Gary thing, but now it's just a part of her. Joe lets his guard down fully. He trusts her, and he gives her a mesh for her arm so she can carry out her own personal mission during the big mission that she's supposed to be doing for Parker. And it'll help her avoid detection. But he does ask her to promise him, please do not let this get back to me. I'm really trusting you. She full-heartedly promises. So during the mission, Natalie operates the suit and is a stand-in for Riri while everyone else is doing their part. So they think it's her. Meanwhile, she's actually trying to cut Parker's hood while he's talking to this guy. And this guy is very insulting, and like you can tell there's a lot of history there, and Parker is being spoken down to, so he just kind of takes his earpiece out and then he just kind of loses every bit of himself and he just starts killing people. And Riri is absolutely stunned and she gets too greedy, and I think that's just the lesson that needed to be learned in this. Like, she really wants it really bad, but then like it blew up in her face because she keeps trying to burn off a piece of the hood, and Natalie warns her, you're getting dangerously close to setting off the meter. And she does. And so every door starts closing, every room starts filling with toxins. It's just the worst thing that could have happened during this, because now her mission is sabotaged as well as the team. So it's just not seamless. So when she's trying to leave, all the other members are stuck in like random parts of the greenhouse of the place where their mission is taking place. And Riri gets caught in one of the green rooms by Cousin, and he felt validated in like not trusting her earlier. And so they get into this huge scuffle, and Riri ends up getting saved by Natalie. Like, the suit comes into the room, rescues them, and she actually leaves him to die. Everyone starts getting together. Parker is worried. He's like, we're missing somebody. Can you go look for him? Is he okay? Riri knows he's dead, but she does circle the perimeter up in the sky and then lets him know that she sees his body, but he's not moving. Parker is obviously reeling from the loss of his only family that he knew, and he lost the only thing that was tethering him to this reality, that was keeping him sane. So he starts having visions that are coming from the demon that gave him the hood, and it's trying to help him connect the Riri dot to his cousin dot. Riri realizes, well, really Natalie realizes that she lost the mesh. That was what she lost in the scuffle. And it's in that room. The police is now swarming that location, and she is devastated. So initially she's like hyperventilating because she's like, what did I just do? Like, I left him in there to die. Like, I feel horrible. What did I just do? Then it like gets taken up another 5 notches because she realized she left the mesh and she didn't even realize that it fell off. And obviously it was a very true accident, so I'm very interested to see how the rest of this is going to play out. I thought all of that in that final scene was delivered really well from Dominic Thorne. So just to go over a couple of Easter eggs, there were mentions of Pimtech, Vibranium, and magic when Riri was trying to figure out, how does the hood work? So the other Easter egg we kind of talked about a little earlier, but Zeke, or Ezekiel Stane, Obadiah Stane. Obadiah was the COO of Stark Industries until he tried to kill Tony Stark. Obviously, we saw how the events of Iron Man played out. Obviously, if you have not seen that movie, I highly recommend it. Zeke knew the truth about what happened to his dad, and it fueled so much hate in his heart regarding how he felt about metal suits and just how much so he just really was not trying to become his dad. I love the way they subtly introduced this Easter egg. So let's talk a little bit about Zeke. Just like in Ironheart in the comics, Zeke keeps the details of his life very hidden. He knows that his father was a rival of Tony Stark, and he's just kind of holding that close to his chest. His dad was pushing for him to become a better scientist and just to be the best thing out there. And he instilled a hatred towards Tony Stark in his son as well. So his whole thing is cybernetic augmentations that he could put on himself, or ways he can push and augment his body. And so he uses his own body as a guinea pig for testing. And that kind of leads to some of the criminal activity that we see. And we do see the beginning of that in a sense, except where we are now, he's not really full throttle, I'm evil. He's just kind of exploring some of these ideas that he's had about augmenting his body, which Steven and I talked about this because I didn't know a ton about Zeke. He knew a little bit more than I did. He has enhanced metabolism. He has repulsor rays, force fields, accelerated healing factors, superhuman strength due to some of the cybernetic implants, self-substance. He no longer needs to breathe. He obviously has a genius level of intellect, obviously the enhanced physiology. Some of his weaknesses: body heat, high metabolic rate, so he needs to consume 10 times as much calories as your normal person. His ego, and he kind of really resembles Obadiah in the comic books, like what he was trying to avoid, he eventually becomes. Yeah, I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with him next. I am very worried just because of how this episode ended. I do feel like this might be the jumping off point for what happens with him next. And I'm sure there are other Easter eggs, but I'm going to keep this one short so I can get this edited down. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts. Which episode out of the 3 has been your favorite so far? Let's get talking. I was very shocked by the ending, and I love a good shock, and I like when, as much as I like, I can really like a character in a show, I want there to be actions for consequences sometimes, and I think that kind of raises the stakes, and so I'm interested again to see what's going to happen with that mesh being left in that greenhouse. If you're new around here, go ahead and hit the subscribe button so you can get more videos like this, and until next time, I'll see you guys for episode 4. Bye!